Thank you all for being part of this. This event here is a big one for the section because we hope to build a culture where folks can come, support our vendors, and then have our annual meeting and really be kind of a one-stop shop for the year. So this has been a new endeavor for those of you who are kind of new to us. The first year, last year, was the first time we had kind of come up with this concept, and I think it is growing into a nice success. So we appreciate you spending your time, bringing your staff here, and supporting this. For those of you I haven't gotten a chance to meet, my name is Russell Radel. I'm the education chairman for the Georgia PGA section this year, and I am joined by a wonderful group of people that I feel pretty lucky to call friends. I hope they would say the same. Maybe. But no, we have a great panel, and it's nice because we have a lot of diverse background here for this merchandising roundtable that we're calling the Merchandising Hot Topics. Oh yeah, I know, it was genius. So I'll introduce the panel real quick. Steve Rudd, you've got Caroline Basarab, you've got Aimee Ganote, you've got Kristen Everard, you've got Chris Cartwright, and you've got Nick Bales. I guess I could have named all their facilities, but I was nervous that I would forget. No, I'm just kidding. No, so they obviously, like I said, come from a nice diverse background of different facilities, different historical that I'm sure they will kind of touch on throughout their answers. But we've also got a nice group of topics, so I will stop nervously talking here and go ahead and get right to it. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Give me a little sign and feel free to speak up. We would love to hear kind of what your questions are throughout the content. So, panelists, welcome. Like we talked about prior to beginning, we've got a nice group of topics. I hope we get to a lot of it. I'm interested to hear, and I like to start with market trends, okay? You know, it's a good place to start. What's trendy these days? What types of things are you seeing, either from a specific product, plugging specific brands. No, I'm kidding, you can. But we really want to just hear, like, you guys have your finger on the pulse out there. What's exciting? Who wants to start? Ooh. Chris Cartwright, you get to start. You're the trendiest.
No one wants to start. I can answer that. Market trends for us. So I'm at West Pines. I'm at a public golf course. So obviously all our trends and our buying is a little different. For us, what has really taken off lately is some alternative logos. Not just throwing the same logo on everything. You know, Russell, I work with you on this a lot. We've got like 6 or 7 different variations. It's real easy on, I don't get crazy on the apparel, but the headwear, I think we've kind of become known for having a good mix of headwear, lots of different logo options, different decoration options. Like we won't do a flat embroidered hat anymore. It's going to be at the minimum a puff embroidery, woven label, leather patch, things of that nature.
Yeah, I agree. And if anybody needs a graphic designer to come up with an alternate logo, that man right there comes up with some pretty fun stuff. So good on you. And the shop really shows it. All right, Aimee, what do you think?
I'm going to agree a little bit with Chris. We're seeing more trending in our hats too. That's been a big popular thing for us at Capital City Club, is that just direct embroidery, which we're trying to get away from. But I would say rope hats. That's been, I know that's not like new trending, but it is for us, like getting away from just that plain performance, but the rope hats, print shirts are still, still on the uptick. I find that for us, it's a little bit more subtle of the prints as opposed to the more wow prints. And one thing that, I don't know, it really has to do with merchandising, but kind of, we hired a graphic artist that is helping us brand our events. Instead of just the 2-man or the member guest, he's helping us come up with logos specific for those events. So that's been kind of interesting. Our members are gonna they've taken to that, we've given them a name or, and then just a unique logo within somewhere in the club, whether it's like this little windmill thing that we
So
found
if you play in
somewhere.
the event, you get that alternate logo.
You get that
as
alternate
part
logo.
of the kind of value add
Right.
to that. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Nick, you're deep in thought over there. Does that mean you have a good thought for this one?
No, I was just I was trying to gather myself. Last guy here, we had a 6-hour outing, so I'm still trying to get fresh from that.
I can move on.
No, all good. Happy to jump in. With all the trends, everything's cyclical, as we all know. It seems like every time we think that the patterns are going to kind of slow down, it seems to get a little crazier with patterns. And we all think that solids and stripes are going to come back, but patterns will just keep getting more and more out there. What's interesting is that there's more availability in different avenues for people to see these different shirts and patterns with all the social media, and there's more outlets, almost more competition for us for all the different apparel offerings that are out there. So we're trying to focus on selling our logo. And really focusing on the logo and the brand, because there's so many avenues out there right now that it's just really trying to make our focus on our logo.
Yeah, so the B2B is kind of what you're, or I guess direct to customer, direct to consumer is what you're kind of battling there. So focus on your logo. Kristen?
Same. It's all about the print, and it seems like the uglier the better almost. And so I'm not really sure that it's a trend, but we get a lot of asks for like a PK. People are starting to get away from that Lyle performance, fabric. It's too hot, it's too heavy, especially coming out of the summer that we just had. And the other big ask is for cotton, which I've been seeing a lot more. I'm seeing lines for spring 24. Everybody is including more cotton. So I think that is probably the next thing to keep your eye on.
Cotton. That's funny. You got one that wants something that breathes much better, Tech Piquet,
Yeah.
and then give me soft cotton. That's good. Steve, out at Summer Grove?
Yeah, Summer Grove, we're a semi-private facility, so we get a good mix of people. And one of the big things we've capitalized on this year is, going back to the logos, is we've just gone to the Grove on hats. And we put it on hoodies, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own, to where it's just, we've got guys yelling in the bar, "For the Grove!" It's just kind of taken on a life of its own just by isolating just the Grove on it. So that's been the big one for us this year.
And then spoiler alert, Tervis tumblers.
They're coming.
Caroline?
I'm going to do a little bit of a call out to Pamela Shelley. In a different context, I know that she's done a lot in growing the PGA Junior Golf League and Women 3-hole League and 9-hole League. And what she's done is she's really grown our junior market in her shop. And so in a different twist, we have grown a lot. We're a shop that, I guess I don't want to say that has struggled a little bit in sales. She's really grown it, along with being a partner with Callaway and growing a lot of that part of the business, and also with her relationships with a lot of the members and a lot of the women and juniors. We've really seen an uptick in that part, along with our headwear and logo, but that's just a different idea, that if you can grow that part of the business, a lot of the women and kids are really interested in that.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Pamela, back there in the back, is at the Reynolds landing course. So it's a isolated part of Reynolds that has its own little community with a young family. So definitely a great place to focus family. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a quick speedball. So this is a yes or no. Printed hats, like crazy prints on hats. Yes or no?
Yes.
Maybe.
No. Yes.
No.
Okay, all right. Interesting answers there. Okay, maybe. It depends on the use. All right, so no, that's great. I think that, kind of next place I want to go then is kind of visual merchandising. We'll start with, kind of techniques that you try to help your staff utilize, right? You guys and gals can't do it all. So when you are working with your staff on visual merchandising, what types of things are you working on with? Think about it. Caroline, I know you do a lot of this. I watch it. So you go first.
Okay. A lot of it is empowerment, and I think that you have to get your head pro and your assistants involved. At the same time, let's work together on creativity, because that's how you train and that's how you create that empowerment. And so if you go on and just say, okay, this is my way or the highway, it's not going to really work. But if you can see their creativity and see how it works, and also open your mind to see what they can do. So that's how we approach it, is let's do it all together.
Collaboration. Steve, is that a line?
Yeah, that's basically what I do. I have an assistant. I got two. One just started, but my main assistant, I let him do a display, and then we'll go back through it and go, okay, what can we do better here? I like this. Let's get a little more vertical with this one, or let's add some props into this one. And we go back through, and then we kind of rework it. But I let him do it first, and then we'll go back and take a look at it and see, okay, well, what if we tried this? And that way he gets the feedback. I get some new ideas from him. So he's pulled out a couple things so far that I've missed. So yeah, that seems to be the best way for me to do it.
Okay. Aimee?
We do, our pros at Capital City Club, at the beginning of every year, they have a certain area that they become in charge of, whether that's a certain vendor or hats or, different things like that. So whenever their product comes in, we work on it together, and we look on Instagram, we look at different shops that we followed and see if we've got some new ideas there. But it's just something we all do together. The other big part to that is you get it there, and it's beautiful. It's the refresh, like that's something that we all do it. Everything needs a little tweak, a little fill in, the paper fold. It's important.
That was my best practice is...
Paper fold?
Yeah, the refresh. No, the refresh.
The refresh.
Knock it all down, build it back up.
Build it back up.
Yep. Chris, do you knock it all down or build it back up?
So meeting with one of my reps today, she wanted to send me a product on a certain date, and I was like, no, that's not going to work. We got to push that back 2 weeks, because I want to have something fresh coming in every 2 to 3 weeks, and that basically forces the staff to kind of re-merchandise. And it's mind-blowing how many times something will be in the left side of the shop and you move it to the right side of the shop and people think it's new, and you sell 3 shirts the first day because you moved it around. The other thing that I'm real big on is consistency of signage, fonts and colors and logos. I want it to all be uniform and the same throughout the shop.
And you produce those yourself?
That's correct.
Of course you do. Kristen, kind of an interesting twist to this question, just because I've worked in that golf shop. Do you notice hot and cool zones in the athletic club golf shop? Like, have you noticed that? Is that a...
Yeah, for sure. The ladies' department is ice cold.
So if you move it to the front, would it become warmer?
No.
What about the back?
Not even on the sale rack. Nothing.
So
it never gets hot. We sell a lot of product, and just given the unique layout of our shop, the majority of our merchandise is hung. We don't really have a lot of, tables or opportunity to properly merchandise. So kind of like a unique twist on that, our assistants, not that they're required, our interns are required to sit in on a buy with me so that they can learn all aspects of the business, working in the golf shop, you know, and trying just to get the most out of their summer experience. But when there's time, the assistants will come and do a buy. They'll sit in, and I allow them to buy one group out of a collection. And that, in essence, is their, you know, go at merchandising. And not that you'll ever pick a collection that merchandises, you know, perfectly, because you want to buy more for what you know you're going to sell other than what's going to look good on a rack. So I would say that would be my twist on their merchandising, you know, helping me merchandise.
Because you want them to pick winners, not just have the end goal be beautiful.
I'm sorry?
So you want them to pick winning SKUs, things that are going to walk out the door the quickest.
Yeah.
And then you'll figure out a way to put it together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nick, similar strategy?
Very similar. We use a lot of Instagram. We follow a lot of really cool accounts and just get ideas. I mean, it's easy. It's right there for you. It's on your phone. Just use all the ideas that are out there, and you know, it's a copycat industry. So we see good displays and we use them. When we do a much better job of this as it's a little slower when we're in the heat of the season. It's a little tougher, as you all know, but the more we can blow it up and start over and move things around, obviously the more traction we get. It's really kind of funny. We talking about heat maps. We have what we call our dead corner, and there's been several times we've moved stuff to that dead corner, which is the last stop before it goes to the sale rack. We've had some brands that have gone over there, and they've done well. They've actually started to move off that dead corner, and it's just movement. It's just members coming in, seeing something different that they think they've seen, that's first time out there. But just the more movement, the better, because members, sometimes they get glossed over when seeing things, but when they just happen to catch their eye, something different, it doesn't matter even if it's in a cold spot. Sometimes it moves. The more movement, the better.
So it sounds like everybody's thinking about changing the cadence. And what do you have a planned cadence for that change? Does it only go seasonal? How often do you try to plan a change in how you've merchandised the shop? Like, do you have a plan for that, or is that something that happens organically with shipments coming in? We can just go down the road. That can be a fastball.
Yeah, it's. I try and move everything around every 3 weeks or so, but it kind of depends on what's going on with tournaments, everything else that's keeping us from doing it. But it's about 3 weeks, unless we get some new product in, then it might be sooner. So that's just generally what we look for, is about that 3 week range.
What size of a shop is it, Steve? Just
We've
to
got
give them
about
context.
1,000 square feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of shops, so this is a loaded question. Was it 6, 8? Can't keep it.
We have 6 shops, and we just received 80 boxes. Rashad, you know that. And so we're going to wing it. It's one of those situations where I talk to a lot of our head pros, I talk to a lot of our staff and go, okay, what can we maximize per square foot? And if something's not selling, we move it out and replace it with something that is selling. I know a lot of my staff is like, oh my gosh, you come with this open buy plan and we're supposed to get these vendors. Well, I think all of y'all, if you had multiple shops, or even if you have one shop, you want to go, okay, if this is not selling, replace it with something that is selling, and come up with a plan. If it's putting that merchandise on sale for a Christmas sale, Labor Day sale, but you really want to maximize your dollars per square foot. So my question is, or my point is, there is no plan.
Yeah. Well, in their defense, it is pretty fluid there. They have a unique opportunity to be able to move things from shop to shop, and that is a strategy within itself, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if it's not selling in one shop, it can move to another shop. Not everybody has that luxury, but then the other side of that is you communicate with your staff consistently about what's happening out there.
And you always can replace it. So just because it's one shop, it doesn't matter if something's not selling and you've got a new group in, just replace it. and you can figure a game plan for Christmas or another holiday sale.
Yeah, something stale. Aimee, is that, I mean, you've got Crabapple and Brookhaven.
Crabapple and Brookhaven, you know, and it's an organic cadence. You know, if something blows out, you definitely have to replace it. If something is a slow mover, you still kind of want to replace it, but you may try a new spot in the shop, like maybe it was in the ice zone or something. Unique for us this year, I mean, we're in a trailer. We're finishing up one full year in a trailer, so that has seen, we don't really have anywhere to move it. You know, it's like, move it
It's got to sell.
2 feet over, you know. But anyway, but in the old shop, yeah, it just depended on how things moved, when the shipments came in, stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, and Kristen, you've got the 2 shops too, right? The Riverside shop and the Highland shop. Oh, no, that's not how it works. Sorry.
So I don't move anything around. My brands all have a designated space or place in the golf shop, and our members are trained to go look for that brand here or that brand there. So, you know, whether we, do a post on a new delivery of whatever, they know exactly where to go. Or if I text a member and say, hey, your favorite brand is in, they know exactly where to go. And, you know, we're lucky. We have a lot of guest play. So men's just moves. We don't really have a problem with a dud collection that just sits that would require it to be like reinvented, if you will. So we don't really prescribe to. I mean, not that we couldn't, but we don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's a unique answer, right? At the end of the day, I don't move it around. It lives where it lives, and people know where to go. That's an answer, you know, and I've lived it. It works. Chris, what about you? Your shop is smaller.
It's small, but we're blessed with such limited storage that we have to get it out when the box comes in. So, you know, it kind of organically happens based on the shipments arriving. So it's a blessing and a curse.
It sounds like it's planned based on that buy.
Correct.
Yeah. Nick, same thing?
Yeah, we try and do first of the month and 15th of the month deliveries. Just bring them out that way and try and get them out as soon as we can. But like I said, everything just kind of goes with the flow of how busy we are from tournaments and events and just regular play and how the shipments come in. I mean, we do our best to keep up with as much as we can, but you know, we all get busy and we've got other things that we need to focus on, but we just try and stay on top of it as much as we can, and the more we can just utilize and move things, the better we know we're going to be. So it's always at the front of our mind, regardless of whether we can actually get to it, you know, within the next 7 to 10 days or not.
Nice. All right, so kind of the next direction I wanted to go was merchandise mix, okay? Trying to figure out a plan for how you're going to spend your dollars, right? At the end of the day, it would be real easy to probably get heavy on a certain category. Obviously, there's got to be a lot of watching what dollars move quickly, what dollars move slower. So just take a minute to kind of think about how you go about planning for that. You know, multiple shops, smaller shops. How you kind of go. Steve, you've always got a good quick answer, so I like starting over here.
Because I make stuff up.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's not
I mean,
hard when you're making
it
stuff
works.
up, you
It
know?
works.
No, I do a lot of work in Excel. I've got an Excel spreadsheet where I'm tracking sales every day by category, and then at the end of the year, or towards the end of the year, I start putting together my buying plan. I'm looking back at those numbers, and I'm analyzing, okay, where were my profit centers? What brands, I can go in and analyze, okay, this brand did this much in profit this year. This one only did this. And what I do is I usually keep the top ones, and those bottom ones, well, that opens up for somebody new to come in. So it's almost like the Premier League relegation, I call it, where the bottom vendors drop off for that next season, and I'm bringing in, it opens up for somebody new to come in and kind of freshen up the shop a little bit that way.
And
So it's a lot of analyzing.
So what categories get that relegation system? Is it mainly apparel? Is it all categories could get that?
It's mainly apparel that I do that in. Your hard goods, those typically tend to stay the same. I'll change out a few things, but it's mostly apparel, like hat companies. If I don't like the rep, you know. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've seen that. All right, Nick, I got a little chuckle over there out of you.
You know, we have our core 2 or 3 brands, and then we try and rotate other brands in seasonally and just see what works and see what doesn't. I mean, we know that we have our core brands that are going to work and that our members are going to ask for by name, and you know, varying price points and you know, just different styles. But then try and keep it fresh. Try and bring somebody new in every season, somebody that we haven't done either maybe ever or in the last 2, 3, 4 seasons. Just try and bring it in. Try and keep something fresh. Try and keep something new that the members can get out and enjoy. And you know, always ask the question, what's this? I've never seen this before. Tell me about this brand. So, you know, we try and keep it moving as much as we can, especially with those 3 or 4 seasonal brands that we bring in.
So then I'll ask a follow-up. I know you've got a great team. They were brave too. They sat right up front. So when you guys explore new brands, where do you go? Like, how do those brands find you, or do you go out and look for new brands when it's time to rotate things in and out?
You know, I think we're always looking for, you know, the next big thing. There's been several companies who've come along in the last few years, and you know, we're not any different than the consumer. We use social media. We look to see what's picking up steam. Anytime we can come to merchandise shows of any kind, you know, it's always good to see it, feel it, touch it, that kind of thing. But then, you know, we always take meetings with new reps if we haven't heard of them. You know, and we just always want to see it, and you know, trying to be upfront with the reps about that. You know, look, we've kind of got our mix for the next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, but would love to see the brand, want to know a little bit more about what you're doing and where you're going. And then there's been several reps that have said, hey, you know what, I like it. I really just want to track the trajectory of this brand over the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, and if it continues to pick up steam, we'll happily jump on. So it's not necessarily a no. It's we'll just kind of wait and see. But we're always looking for the next brand.
Aimee, what about you? You look like you're ready to answer that question about
Open the buying plan.
Yeah, the planning part, and then you're going to get the same follow-up question.
Okay.
Because me as a hopeful new rep, always good to hear how you get in.
So we do have a pretty detailed buying plan for our vendors. I take it season by season. So when we're at the end of spring, summer, I take the shipments that are on the floor and I literally just walk around and I see what's left, sizes, colors, styles, patterns, and just kind of make a note so that I'm prepared for the next meeting. So we do that, but I am going to make a little plug here for the AGM. I thought I do feel like our buying plan is still pretty good, but Kristen as well, we started taking that certified retail manager class. There's like 4 levels, but in 301, I think it was about your buying plan. And their spreadsheets and their plan, it was an eye-opener, the things that you think, that you have it already, but it was really, really good. So I would say if you've not looked at that or seen that with the AGM, it's really educational. And if you're buying and you're planning out merchandising, it's been good. It's that the 301 was a little scary because it is all about math, and you're sitting there and you've got a test at the end, but no, it's really good.
And is there a world for the operator that maybe can't focus 100% of their attention on their merchandising? Is there a world that is that there's a simplified yet similarly effective option for someone who maybe his retail operation is smaller and they can't put 100% of their attention on it?
On the buying plan
the buying
or the
plan.
AGM thing?
Well, no, I guess more of the buying plan.
I think so. I think just keeping up with your sales reports, they're such a valuable tool. And literally, too, walking your shop. I mean, there is nothing will stick out more than when you go at the end of a season and see, put your hands on it, you know, the things that, like Caroline said, the things that you had to move to make out for the new, make sure you go back in and touch that stuff that you had to take away. You know, we do employee sales 2 times a year, and I put it out, display it for 3 locations, and I pack it up and re-inventory it 3 different times. And that's probably one of my best buying plan information, you know, when you see everything that was left over, you know, whether it be colors or sizes. And we had to make a big shift a few years ago with the XLs. You know, it was like our whole employee cell was XLs. I'm like, wow, okay. You know, that was kind of when that shift, it was more mediums kind of stepped up, and then your XLs kind of came down a little bit, but yeah.
Crazy how that ebbs and flows, isn't it?
Crazy how that happens.
Yeah. All right, Caroline. I know we've talked a lot over the years about the open to buy planning. So with such an extensive operation, how does that work?
Well, it's different because it's a matter of, like, I know there are a lot of golf pros out here that have a lot of hats going on. And so one of the things that I've learned is that, sorry, but I don't know how to do a spreadsheet. So anyway, I'm kidding. But the point is that take your reports per category and just take 35% off of that due to your existing, or if there is left room to buy new hats and Tervis and Winston,
Head covers.
and other things. And what that does is it leaves you an idea of what to bring in. I wish I could sit there and say, oh gosh, you know, I can give you a plan and y'all have all the time to go through this. And again, but if you can just go with that plan and then you look at your sale merchandise, exactly what Aimee talked about. Okay, it's like, okay, yikes, burnt orange, which I'm from Texas A&M, doesn't sell, you know, or a size, or you go through it and you can gauge it. You don't, how can I say this, but it's like you can just see what, based on your reports, and see what hasn't sold, what you can do to change it for next season. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of golf professionals here that don't have a merchandiser, but it doesn't have to be so, I guess the word complicated. If you just run your reports, take 35% off, look at your vendors, what they sold through, what didn't sell through on your sale rack, and then just go with it.
And then the rest is open for purchase, right?
Agreed.
Okay. Yep. Got it. Sorry, math was never my strong suit either. So.
Well, yeah, spreadsheets are bad for me, yes.
Well, next year we'll get a whiteboard out here and we can start ripping it out. Chris?
Golf pros wearing lots of hats, so I've got more of a streamlined kind of ordering matrix, I call it. And I'm going to put all my vendors into 3 categories, talking about apparel. I'm going to put it in athletic, lifestyle, or traditional. So like talking about Russell, he can sell Swannies and Cutter and Buck at the same time. He can rep both companies because they don't compete, right?
Cheap plug there. Thank you.
You're talking a lifestyle and a traditional, right? So when I'm looking at my shop and what's on the floor, I want to have one of each represented at all times. I don't want to get too heavy on athletic or too heavy on lifestyle. I want to rotate it around. You know, I'm using sales reports like they're mentioning to see what I'm selling for the whole year, and then hopefully figuring in a little growth. So like I know that if I'm going to beat last year's shoe sales, I've still got 20 pairs of shoes to order before the end of the year, you know, something like that. So using that sort of information is certainly a tool, but I'll take it a little bit different with some of the purchasing we're doing. You know, we're doing so much more revenue on the golf course than we are in the shop that we still look at the golf course or the shop at the course as an extension of our advertising. So I've got a colder ladies department than she has, I can promise you. But for years, But for years, we looked at, our sales and we're like, we're not getting the play out of the ladies that we think we should. But when they come in the shop, they're not seeing themselves represented in our merchandise. So I might bring in 24 pieces just to sit in the corner. I know it's not going to sell, but at least when the ladies show up, they feel like they're welcome at our property.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, again, from a moving into like a headwear standpoint, it's interesting to see how the different buyers buy from from resort to big green grass to smaller green grass, from male to female buyers. A lot of times there's a representation. Not everybody thinks about who all needs to be represented. So when you look at a headwear standpoint, because if you look at apparel, that's one of the biggest categories. Headwear would be another big category in that. So think about how you kind of mix up how your headwear is represented there. Chris, I've seen it at your place. So how do you think about that? I've seen the Matrix.
White hats. It's just white hats.
Just white hats everywhere.
No, but it is. I'll be honest. I order from Russell. I order from the other two companies. I'm getting something from everybody because I like to see a mix of the artwork they're putting out. I might be a little more heavy on the tech fabrics, or like Russell is my guy to go to for kind of the Gen Zers for those hats. Right? My staff was making fun of me. We unboxed some corduroy hats this week, and I was like, y'all just don't get it. People are going to eat this up. They don't like it, but it's going to sell. And so it's about getting the products that's going to attract the clients you want, maybe not the clients you have sometimes.
Yeah, you said one of the funniest things I've ever heard. What was it about bro hats? I was in my office, I looked down the range, and there's all these backwards rope hats, just one after the next, hitting on the driving range, and it was like, well, that's why we buy them. Something to that effect.
Yep.
I know you remember that. Nick, what about you? How do you look at what headwear presentation you offer to the members at Country Club of the South?
Headwear, it's really easy to obviously walk around the shop, see what's there, see what's not, see what's selling. Obviously, you don't have to have one size fits all, so you don't have to worry too much about sizing, but just in terms of design, color, the different types of logos we use, it's really all over the board with the different ages. You've got your older crowd that loves, the lightweight cotton that's, it's just going to be your standard wider khaki, and they want the smaller logos and just, your clean classic. And then you've got, the big letter guy and the rope hat and kind of everything in between, and you've got your nice patches. We try and hit a little mix of everybody. We try and utilize all the different vendors because I think everybody does something very well that they're kind of known for. So we kind of key into that with the different companies and just try and offer as much as we can out there for our membership, because we do have a very diverse membership in terms of age. We go from our young guys in their early 20s to 80s. So we've got a little bit of everything, and just trying to find that mix. And sometimes we get heavy on the letter hats and they sit for a minute, and then we'll get into a season and everybody's asking for the letter hats. We don't have those, and same goes with everything else. You just got to keep tabs of what you have on the shop on the floor right now, and if you have any in storage for when you're making your next order, to try and always keep that balance from the younger guy, rope, letters, all of that, to the older guy who is your standard khaki, lightweight cotton, that kind of thing. Just always try and keep the scales fairly even, as opposed to going one way or the other.
So follow-up question then, do you have a certain number of Cubbies spots that you will put hats and you'll order based on those, or do you guys merchandise around the shop with headwear as an accessory?
With all the custom logos we try and do, oftentimes we just order off minimums. I mean, minimums have gotten to the point to where, they're 72 or 150, so, we try not to get too heavy in hats, that way they can turn through. But our minimums, and rightfully so with everything we've gone through in the last few years, minimums have just gotten so high that we tend to just go with the minimum, and then if there's an outlier there, we would go above that. But the minimums are usually a pretty good place to start.
Gotcha. Kristen, I know you guys sell a ton of hats over there at AAC. I've had to unsticker quite a few myself. So what's your strategy when you're looking at how to balance that big, beautiful wall?
You know, I just go with what I like. That's kind of my plan. It's very visual.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
I like
I
this. We'll
also
take it.
rely a lot on, you know, some of the assistants. I mean, I hate to admit it, but some of these assistants are 25 and 30 years younger than me. So they've got a very different take on what appeals to them. And so that appeals to their age group and I guess beyond. Also the fit of the hat, which is interesting to me because as a woman, a girl, like a hat to me is a hat, but a fit for some guys, it's very, very particular. So you definitely need a balance of like an unstructured hat or a structured hat, or whether it's rope or trucker or what did you call it, a bro hat?
A bro.
Bro hat. His words, not mine.
I'm not sure we bring in bro hats, or maybe we do. I don't know.
You might. You might.
You probably
No, it
do.
is funny selling hats. It's like people are passionate. They will tell you like, oh no, that would never work for me. You know, and people know, especially mostly guys. Steve, do you see that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like for myself, the big, tall, structured hat does not work. It looks ridiculous on me. I need something unstructured because I'm not a big guy. But I try and get a good mix of visors, sun hats, rope hats, truckers. It's just trying to appeal to a wide range. So, yeah.
Get a good mix. All right,
Yeah.
Amy. What about you? You got two different shops.
We've got two different shops. We do keep crabapple. They get the little flower. That's been kind of a passion of the members lately. They've loved that flower. We are pretty traditional over there at Capital City Club, but I rely on you, Terry, trainer, to help me with, it's all about the logos, and we have to keep it within a certain, you know, tradition for our logo. Our logo's a little tough, so we just really rely on you guys to help us find some good logos. We use the Vimpu hats for the ladies. That's been super popular with the ponytail in the back. So just try different things. But we do have a certain cubby area. We'll have a new, really nice cubby area pretty soon.
Yeah, and Caroline, I actually kind of know your new strategy, which I really like. So tell us.
One of the things, we have 6 golf shops, and so what I decided to do is I have 4 shelves designated to what I need to carry. You know, the basic white, khaki, navy, black, with our traditional logo and a couple other things. And then when I have asked each head pro and lead assistants, like, okay, you bring in, and then the next 4 shelves times 5, what you want to bring in, and come up with your creativity. Again, there are parameters that are extremely limited, but we have to get creative too. But at the same time, I think it's kind of fun to see what, I think the empowerment in headwear, because I'm very traditional to some degree, but it's neat to see what your staff can bring to it. And you never know, like, I'm 30 years younger than a lot of the kids out here, and but I love to see what they can bring into the table. So I think one of the last things is just that when you stop learning, at least for me, then that's the day I'm going to retire out of the business. Let's just, you know, just keep your mind open, comply with the marketing department, and and go with it.
No, that's absolutely true. Okay, I'm going to do a quick speed round here, and you just answer quick, okay? Will it sell? A green hat.
Oh, wait.
Kelly green hat. Go.
April, yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, they're good at that. Bulldog red.
Yes.
Definitely no.
Yes.
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 Really? Okay, I'm going to check sell-through data on that one. Okay, black.
Black what?
Black hat.
Black hat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Minimal.
Not great.
Huh?
Minimal.
Minimal. Yeah, it's so the point. It's funny to see in different places where some people are very passionate about. We can't sell that. That's never, a green hat. They just don't buy it. Orange. When I go over to Alabama, orange is really tough. So okay. Anyway, enough about hats. So I guess probably one of the last kind of topics that I wanted to get to was sale strategy, right? So we're going to start not with liquidating, but more what is your, kind of overall strategy for putting things on sale, right? There's a certain customer who they love that sale rack, or they love the balloon sale at the end of the year. Everybody's got their different way to do it. Tell me what you like to do. Aimee.
Okay, so we do have a consistent sale rack historically it's been a little bit outside of the shop.
Percentage?
Typically 25. When we get to the end of the season, we bump it up. So, and when we're switching seasons, we'll do buy one, get one.
Hey, everybody in the back, if you don't mind quieting down a little bit. Thank you.
So end of the season, we'll do buy one, get one. So hopefully we're selling more. Another sale that we do, we always do a big Masters Week sale, shoe sale. Big sale there. Holiday sales, meaning July 4th, Labor Day, and then we do our big holiday balloon sale. So those are our main sales throughout the year. And then we'll do Father's Day, Mother's Day, stuff like that.
Kristen, pretty consistent there at Athletic Club, or what do you guys do that's a different outlier?
So we offer a 15% member discount, and only members. We don't extend it to our guests. So throughout the year, whether like at 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, all the whatever holidays, we offer a 25 off. We have a 50% off rack for men's and ladies all year long. Not much ever hits the men's sale rack. Pretty much everything I buy for women hits the women's rack. And every once in a while, just to bring people in, we'll maybe bump it up to 65%. To be honest, we don't really have much luck with that either. The women's business at the Atlanta Athletic Club is super, super tough. I'm going on my third Christmas there, and for the first two, we did a spin the wheel, which everybody loved. You spin for your discount, but we're going to get away from that because there was spinning abuse. And yeah, so you're supposed to spin once, but they keep spinning until they hit the 50, and it's a tough time of year. You got to, be cognizant of your cost of goods and everything. So I don't know what we're going to do this year. They keep talking about a pop the balloon. That to me sounds awful. I don't know if I want to hear balloons popping all day. Yeah, so we have to come up with. We don't really have our holiday plan yet. But that's basically it. We don't have a liquidation plan, and we're not given liquidation dollars. And again, for the men's side, I don't really have to worry about it because we have pretty strong sell-through. Where we get stuck is at the end of our holiday season with outerwear. Too many pullovers, too many vests, too many jackets. But from a day-to-day, we have pretty decent sell-through with men's apparel.
Chris?
So we don't have a sale rack all the time. I stole Aimee's idea from the last round table, and we do a employee-only sale at the end of the year. So I can pretty much get rid of anything that doesn't sell with that strategy now. But if we do roll out a sale rack, we're going to do a deal where you get, one item for X, 2 items for Y, 3 items for Z. So trying to get people to, the whole point is to move the product, not really to give somebody a good deal, right? So if I can move 3 items, I'd rather do that than, maybe maintain my margins.
Yeah. Steve?
Yeah, we have a continuous sale rack. We've got it at 30% off. I've only been there since February, so I'm still figuring out the patterns on everything, but I'm definitely looking at some kind of holiday sale for this fall or this holiday season. So I like to do about a 60-day window on a certain order. After that, then I'm already starting to look, okay, when do we need to, I'm already starting mentally moving it over towards the sale rack and because I've usually got something coming in by that time. So I try and keep a good flow going, but like I say, I keep it year round because you're gonna hit customers that's their strike zone is the sale rack, so.
Yeah. Nick?
So we actually have a fairly small shop, so we took our sale rack and moved it outside into the hallway. We've picked up a lot of the fitness traffic that they're just coming through. They typically don't come to the golf shop, so the people who are coming to work out or in a fitness class, they'll actually come through and they'll see our sales rack. It's a continuous sales rack. It's 40% off. Our normal member discount is 20% off. So that rack is always there at 40%. We hit your normal flash sales, your Labor Day, Memorial Day. We'll do some just random sales. We've really focused on, and kudos to Sam who's figured this out, our best time to send out a sale email is on a Sunday morning of all times. So if there's ever a quick flash sale, we'll send it out on Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, there's almost every wife in the neighborhood that coming in there, mimosa in hand, just shopping, buying, all the things that they can get their hands on. So we try and stay on top of it as much as we can as far as what goes on our sale rack. If it's down to one, it for sure goes down to on the sale rack. Two, just two of one item or one SKU, we'll get it on the sales rack. And then really anytime we need to make room in the golf shop because we don't have the largest golf shop, if it's just not doing well, if we don't particularly like it, we just move it all to the sale rack. Try and get it moving. If it's going to sell, it's going to sell quickly most times. So we just try and move it and move on.
That's perfect. Okay, so we're almost out of time. So now the big question, and this is going to be a toughie on you. What is a best practice? And I'll give you a minute to think about it while I sit here and linger on this one. What is a best practice that the folks in the audience, you think that they could kind of take home with them? And take a minute to think, but what's a best practice that's something that you engage with in your shop, you engage with your staff, just something that you kind of say, we do this good. We do this good. Chris, I know you got it because you think it's all good.
I'm going to say, if you're not at AAC, you're not at Cap City, you're not at one of those historic clubs, it might be time to reevaluate branding. We rebranded 2 years ago, sales skyrocketed. It was crazy. Places like where I'm at, where Steve's at, right? We're not at those.
The Grove.
We're not at the historic places, right? So he's already doing it a little bit with the Grove, right? So he's kind of starting on that trend already. So I would say constantly evaluating branding.
Sorry, it doesn't have to be your answer to that question, but Country Club of the South, how do you approach branding? Are you very consistent with one DST for your logo? Do you try different stuff because Country Club, great place there in Johns Creek, but, do you mess around with that?
So we're actually in the process of trying to find a new emblem. We've got just our standard 3 letters as our logo, which has kind of evolved even over the last couple of years. So we've gone from a couple of different versions of the logo to the logo that we're on now, which we feel fairly comfortable with moving forward. We're just trying to find, that emblem or that one item that we can get on a shirt, on a hat, whatever, and it's easy to embroider, it's identifiable, and when you see it, it says, oh, that's Country Club of the South. So we're in the process of that right now, and I'll go ahead and answer the question if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
The biggest thing for me is put the time and effort into cultivating your staff. Not only just finding the right people, but making sure that you empower them and they have clear direction and they have the ability to grow in their own positions. That is that is the best thing that I do is give everybody that is in our golf shop and our operation just the opportunity to grow. Sometimes we might fail a little bit here and there, but those are growing points for all of our staff. And that overall, you're going to go through some short-term losses, but your long-term gain is huge. When you have a great staff that you can lean on and that you can trust, there's nothing better than that, because your ideas are gonna flow. And when you start talking about all your different merchandising techniques or tournaments or anything along those lines, when you have the right staff in place, I mean, everything is much, much easier.
No, that's great. Caroline, what about you? Been through a few of those MOY conferences. You got to heard some good stuff.
Okay, my big thing is empowerment. And so I feel like when a head pro or lead assistant gives them, okay, I want to try this certain headwear company, or I want to try this apparel company. Well, what that does is when you do endorse that employee, and they're going to find the product knowledge. They're going to be empowered to sell it, the passion for it. And when it sells through, it's like, oh my gosh, well, what can I do for the next part of your business? So I think when you give them empowerment and you endorse that, I think they don't want to see their own brand not sell. So that's where I would go with it.
Buy-in. Kristen? What do you
Are we doing best practice?
Yeah, sorry. Best practice.
Best practice would be, in my opinion, to build yourself an open to buy that you rely heavily on. Especially if you're a club who does volume, it just really keeps you in line, keeps you organized, and just really helps you get from season to season.
Aimee, what do you think? Open to buy?
I would say, I was just thinking about that, and this is something that we added to our operation this year, so it's a little more in the weeds and maybe a little bit of the details, but for the last 8 years at Capital City Club, we've used this like super, super detailed spreadsheet for our special orders. We do a lot of special orders for our members. And at the end of last year, I was like, we've hit the ceiling on how effective we can be with this spreadsheet. So we partnered with Golf Genius Golf Shop, which we've been talking to them for 2 or 3 years about helping us manage our special order processes. And we took the plunge, we did it, we set it up, we trained our whole staff, and it has been a great thing for us and our members. And I feel like it just elevated that customer service on your special orders. Our members get a text, they get an email when the order's been placed. And then when the order comes in, it's a click of a button, and they get an email and a text that says, your order's here, it's at the front desk. All of our vendors are set up. So a lot of you, I think, have seen these emails that come through, and it tells you everything that you need. And it's just been a really big improvement on our special orders and communicating with our members, which I feel like is a best practice. We were using this this spreadsheet, and we were keeping up with it, but the communication to the members was a little lacking. So I felt like that kind of stepped us up a little bit, helped us be a little bit more communicative to them on things.
So is that process pretty automated?
It's automated, and then every person on our staff is very empowered, which is super important. Anybody on staff can click that. We started managing our club repair as well, so when a club repair is finished, they get an email and a text as well. So it's helped us stay a lot more organized, but also just communicating with our members has been, and they've loved it. They're like, we got a text,
Yeah, that sounds like big, small, public, private.
Anybody,
Yeah,
it can help
helpful.
your special order processes, and it's made us better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Steve.
Basically, my best practice for sales is build relationships. Build relationships with your customers, get to know them on a personal level, it makes that connection so much easier when you have products in the shop and you make a recommendation. If they already trust you with other aspects of the business, they'll trust you on a recommendation on a shirt, on a club, all that. Also, build relationships with your vendors. Look at your vendors more as a partner rather than just a source. Those, because they can help you so much in your buying decisions. That is going to make a big difference. But like I say, for sales, just get to know your people. Get to know and build that trust between you and them.
No, that's awesome. And that goes in any part of the operation.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
well, I'll tell you what, our time's up, but thank you guys so much for being a part of this. And thank everybody for being here. I hope you found, hopefully some tidbits throughout the conversation that you can take back to your own facilities and make your own operations better. So again, also thank you to the Georgia PGA staff here. They put all of this on. They found this great venue, really elevated this. And I encourage you, even if you didn't really enjoy this, go and tell the people in your network that that this is a worthy event to come, get some business done, and then tomorrow we'll do our section business. So thank you all for being involved.